Now, this isn't going to exactly work. All right? Because these are soft and squishy. But I want you to do me a favor. And I just want you to stand on there and do not fall off. That's all I want you to do. Okay? All right. Whoop. Yeah, good. Okay, so I'm just going to preach while he's doing this. Would that be a lot of fun? Yeah, sure. Is it a little bit difficult? A little bit, yeah. A little bit, yeah. Do you think you know how long I can preach sometimes? You think you could do it that entire time? With your eyes shut, okay? With your eyes shut. Okay. Can you thank Jacob? This is our friend Jacob. Thank you, Jacob. You can go back to your seat. This is our friend Jacob. He actually is recently moved from Kansas City, Missouri. He's a classmate with Micah. And they came and joined us last week, and he's got his grandparents in. Now, do y'all live in Kansas City as well? In Independence? Independence. That sounds like a great place. I spread them out, Jacob, and I'm still actually having a hard time. While we were singing, and this just fits with the message, and I am going to try to shut my eyes, because this is the dangerous part, because we're all like blind people walking around. Okay? And when we're blind, it's very difficult to keep our balance and to know exactly where we're going. And this is soft and squishy. Imagine if it were rigid, if it were truly a fence. If I were walking on a plank, whatever you call those pieces of wood, a fence, and they were rigid, and they wouldn't give, and they wouldn't be that, I put my foot down, that close to the floor, it would be very difficult for me to stay on that fence. I don't know, have any of you seen, what's the movie, The Wire? Or The Thing, where the guy does this, but he looks much more gracious than me? How long can you stay on the fence? Eventually, and this isn't law, this is gospel. This is Jesus' invitation. He says, I don't want you to walk around blind anymore. I want to open your eyes. Because you can't be on the fence. It's going to be a, yes, Jesus, I believe in you. And I'm with you. Or, no, Jesus, I don't believe in you. And I'm not with you. It's that simple. There are not 50 shades of gray. Okay? There is a black and a white. There's two options. We're with Jesus, we're not with Jesus. Now, where do we get this from? How do I get this from the passage today? Today's passage, very interesting. Very interesting. Very challenging in a way. And I want to read it to you, and I want to share right off the top. It's about being ready. It's about preparation. It's about making sure that we don't miss it. Well, all of those words, what do they indicate? What? Something's coming. If you tell your kids, get ready, are they going to go, okay? Well, yeah, ours. But if it's their birthday and there's a package, or you tell them to shut your eyes and get ready, what do they know is about to happen? Something's coming. Something's coming. Why would Jesus keep saying, get ready, get ready? Because something's coming. And what is that something? Jesus. He says, I'm coming back. This whole thing is about the song we just sang 3 songs ago. Even so, come, Lord Jesus, come. This is all about the fact that Jesus is coming back. Some people don't believe Jesus is coming back. This is a fundamental belief in the church. We believe Jesus is coming back. It actually gives us hope. Do we need to be worried about it, or do we need to be excited about it? We need to be excited about it. That's right, because Jesus is coming back. That's the truth. He's going to come. Now, this whole passage deals with that. That's what this is about. It's about being prepared and being ready. And so you're like, well, then why'd you do the whole fence thing? Get ready and get ready. Be prepared. Maybe I'll remember to tell you at the end of this. And maybe like normal, I say that and then I'll forget. We'll see. Let me read the passage to you from Luke chapter 12. This is a long one. And I'm going to try to read all the way through it because this is really important. Okay? A lot of times with longer passages, we kind of skip over them and I just tell you to go read them. Do you always go read it? Always? Yeah, not always. So let's just read it, okay? Let's read it together. It's going to be up on the screen for you to follow along, but we're in Luke chapter 12 and we're starting at verse 35. I am definitely getting older. It's getting harder and harder. Stay dressed for action. Yes, so please keep your clothes on, okay? Stay dressed for action and keep your lamps burning. And be like men who are waiting for their master to come home from the wedding feast, so that they may open the door to him at once when he comes and knocks. Blessed are those servants whom the master finds awake when he comes. We got some of our kids coming back in. Might be a little bit more difficult for y'all to take notes because you missed some of it, but keep listening. And today, kids, there's an extra bag of Skittles on the line for everybody. Hun, okay? Write this down for me. I'm not going to tell you what to write. There's an extra bag of Skittles for you if you can listen to what I say today and give me, how does this apply to me? What is the one thing that I got from this that PJ wanted me to get, that he didn't tell me just what to write down, and I can't just write a verse down. I want to think about why did he say all that, and what is the one thing he wants me to know, and how I can apply that to my life as a third grader, fourth grader, fifth grader, whatever. Okay? Extra bag of Skittles if you do that. And by the way, I've enjoyed reading all of these notes. Let's continue. So the master has gone away, and he's coming and knocking. He says, blessed are those servants whom the master finds awake when he comes. Truly, I say to you, he will dress himself for service and have them recline at table, and he will come and serve them. If he comes in the second watch, or in the third, late into the morning, and finds them awake, blessed are those servants. But know this, new kind of parable here, that if the master of the house had known at what hour the thief was coming, he would not have left his house to be broken into. You also must be ready, for the Son of Man is coming at an hour you do not expect. Peter said, Lord, are you telling this parable for us or for all? Great question. And the Lord said, interesting answer. Who then is the faithful and wise manager, whom his master will set over his household, to give them their portion of food at the proper time? Blessed is that servant whom his master will find so doing when he comes. Truly I say to you, he will set him over all his possessions. But if that servant says to himself, my master is delayed in coming, and begins to beat the male and female servants, and to eat and drink and get drunk, the master of that servant will come on a day when he does not expect him, and at an hour he does not know, and will cut him in pieces and put him with the unfaithful. Very strong language. And will cut him in pieces and put him with the unfaithful. And that servant who knew his master's will but did not get ready or act according to his will receive a severe beating. But the one who did not know and did what deserved a beating will receive a light beating. Everyone to whom much was given, of him much will be required. And from him to whom they entrusted much, they will demand the more. I came to cast fire on the earth, and would that it were already kindled. I have a baptism to be baptized with, and how great is my distress until it is accomplished. Do you think that I've come to give peace on earth? No, I tell you, but rather division. For from now on, in one house there will be 5 divided, 3 against 2, and 2 against 3. They will be divided, father against son, and son against father, mother against daughter, and daughter against mother, mother-in-law against her daughter-in-law, and daughter-in-law against mother-in-law. He also said to the crowds, when you see a cloud rising in the west, you say at once, a shower is coming. And so it happens. And when you see the south wind blowing, you say, there will be scorching heat. And it happens. You hypocrites! You know how to interpret the appearance of earth and sky. But why do you not know how to interpret the present time? And this is the word of our Lord, and sometimes we respond to that and we say, thanks be to God. Thanks be to God? Are you thankful today? Even after you heard all that? Yeah? You going to get chopped into little bitty pieces? No. So we're thankful to God, right? Can be thankful to God. Does anyone find everything I read a wee little bit confusing? Okay. Shall we discuss this a little bit? Let's do that, please, because it's challenging. Remember, what is it all about? The big point is be what? Ready. Be prepared. Okay? Be ready, be prepared. How many of you have had children in this room? Do me a favor. Don't even raise your hand. Do me a favor and stand. You deserve some honor if you have birthed a child. If you have birthed a child, okay? Guys, give them their due, please. All right. Oh, that was really weak, gentlemen. We obviously have no idea what that was like, right? Because we don't know. Now, ladies, how many of you did not know what hospital you were going to go to before you had the child? It was like, oh, it's coming. Which hospital do you want to go to? I don't know. I like Methodist. No. I like Herman. Well, I don't like Herman. Well, but I don't like Methodist. And 30 minutes goes by kind of like you're trying to choose a restaurant. And you can't figure out which one you want to go to. How many of you birthed a child like that? No? You all knew what hospital you were going to go to? Some of you are going, we didn't have hospitals when we were children. Great. If you didn't have hospitals, that's great. Did we all have a plan when you were about to birth a child? Yeah. Did even the guys not have a clue, but have a plan? Because she made it for me. I had a plan. Okay? And what was my part of the plan? I got to pack a bag. I got to make sure we have stuff ready. And I have to do what? Drive the car. Because she's going to be in no condition to drive a car in that moment. And so my plan is get the bag, drive the car. That's all I got to do. And remember where the hospital is. In Fairbanks, Alaska, that's pretty easy. There's only one. Okay? Pretty easy. And so we didn't have much of a choice. But even with this, the whole thing about how we plan, sometimes don't those little whippersnackers take their time and delay a little bit? Anyone ever had one that delayed a little bit? Anyone have more than a week past your date? Natalie, really? 2 weeks? 2 weeks? More than 2 weeks? That explains a lot. Birthday girl. Okay, so Samantha was just not quite ready to come out. She had her own mind. And was that your plan? You had a plan. You know what hospital you're going to go to? You had a bag packed? Did you have a nursery set up? Yeah. Did you have clothes washed? We didn't. Because our plan was Sarah was going to take off work, and then she had 2 weeks off before the due date. And we were going to get everything ready in those 2 weeks. And guess when Micah chose to come? 2 weeks early. 3 weeks early. Yeah. She wasn't even done with work yet. She was about to get off of work, and we had a huge day. She hopped on the bed and went, "Oh no, get me a towel." All right, am I allowed to say this or not? Okay. Because I gotta, yeah, you're gonna anyway. So I run to the bathroom, and I bring back a washcloth. And she goes, "A towel!" So I got the biggest towel I could find. That was not our plan. We were prepared, but not quite well prepared enough. Jesus doesn't want us to be kind of prepared, partially prepared, or prepared on our timetable. 2 weeks before he comes, I'll get my act together. And then I'll get off the fence, and I'll be with him or I'll be against him. 2 weeks before he comes, I'll figure it all out. 2 weeks before he comes, I'm going to give up all of those really sinful things that I really like. 2 weeks before he comes, I'm going to figure it all out. Because guess what Jesus is going to do? He's going to come 3 weeks early. Because you have no idea when 2 weeks before he comes is. And he says, get ready, be more ready than we were. We thought we had a plan, but we weren't ready. So let's look at this passage and let's figure out what is he saying? And oh my goodness, what in the world are these words? And why doesn't he ever answer the question that was asked? Because Peter asked him a simple question. So first of all, the first section is 35 all the way through verse 40. And he gives this, it's a dual parable, two parables here. The one is of a servant whose master goes away, and then he comes back and he finds him home, and it's good. He's saying, I want you to be awake, I want you to be prepared, I want you to be ready. Because you don't know when the master's going to come back. You have no idea. It could be today, it could be tomorrow. All right? You have no idea. And so get your life ready. Figure out, and it isn't just about us choosing. God puts it in our heart. And when he takes us out of the way, we might have eyes to see that he truly is the Son of God. And we say, Lord, I need you, and I believe in you. We don't just choose it. So from Luke 12, stay dressed for action, keep your lamps burning, be like men who are waiting for their master to come home from the wedding feast, because the wedding feast could go a long time. It could go 7 days, it could be 10 days, so that when he comes and opens the door, you open the door for him and you let him in. And you're going to be blessed when the master finds you awake, because you were doing what you were called to do. He's going to dress himself for service, have those people recline at the table with him, and he himself will come and serve them. Wow. In this day and age, when you truly had masters and slaves, that's huge. And that's what Jesus is saying. Doesn't matter if he comes in the second watch or in the third watch. What if he came in the first watch? We weren't ready for the first watch. We were ready for the second and the third watch. he could come anytime. And then he goes to the second parable. If the master of the house had known what time the thief was going to come, he wouldn't have left town. He would have stayed there, would have had gun locked, ready, loaded, and ready to go. And he would have said, come on in. Come on in. You got to deal with me first if you want to rob my house. But I'm not going to go away and let you rob my house. I'm going to be ready. But he's saying if the master had known what time, he would have stayed. But does the master know what time the house is going to be robbed? No, because there isn't this schedule where thieves go, Saturday at 2 a.m., okay? Can we sign up for that spot? And you go, okay, good, yeah, thanks. You know, you're waking me up at night, but I'll be ready. No, that's not the way it works. Thieves don't tell you when they're going to come. They just come at an hour when it's unexpected. And he's going to come like a thief in the night. Now we get into the really tricky part, okay? But he says at the end of that, you must be ready, for the Son of Man is coming at an hour you do not expect. Now, Peter pipes up and says, whoa, are you telling, remember, there's tens of thousands, literally thousands upon thousands of people climbing over each other to hear Jesus. He's rebuking the Pharisees. That's the context here over the last couple of weeks. He's telling them all these powerful things, and the Pharisees are just stewing, and they want to take him down. And so Peter says, are you saying this for them? Or is this like for us? Is this for all of us here? Or is it for those people? Or who are you addressing right now, Jesus? And it's good to know the audience. And Jesus gives a very straightforward answer. Would you agree? Did you get a straightforward answer? Did any of you figure out the answer? The answer's there. Yeah, kinda? You think so? Okay, good. I'm not going to ask you to share it because I kind of thought at one time I had the answer here, and I think it's completely different as I've really been reading and studying, as I did this week. So here's the thing. He tells another parable. And in this parable, he's trying to answer Peter's question, but he's trying to re-emphasize the point of being ready and aware. Okay? So listen carefully. And I'm going to talk through it as I read it, but let's read the parable, the story he tells. Remember, this is not a true story. You can't look at every aspect of it and go, see, it applies across all levels. Jesus was trying to make a point. He's making that point. Who then is the faithful and wise manager? Now, remember when we talked about this? Fence. How many sides can I fall off on? Are there 50? There are 2. There's a black side, a white side. There's not 50 shades of gray side. There's a black side and a white side. There's 2 sides. He is giving us 2 scenarios. Okay, we need to look at this and understand this, or else we can grossly misunderstand this and kind of be led astray. 2 groups that we could fall into. And the very key word in this first person that he describes is the word faithful. Who then is the faithful and wise manager? The word for faithful is, the root is pistis. It means faith. And that is key. This is faith, saving faith. This is faith believing in Jesus. Who is the believing servant or steward whom the master will set over his household? Okay, so that word faithful is very important for us because it's describing the first of the 2 categories of people. We'll get to the second one in a moment. So the one of faith, who believes in Jesus, who isn't on the fence, whom the master will set over his household to give them their portion of food at the proper time. Blessed is that servant whom his master will find so doing when he comes. Truly I say to you, he will set him over all of his possessions. And there's a guy named Joseph in the Old Testament that kind of lived this exact same thing in real life. He was a slave, and Pharaoh set him over his entire kingdom. He only withheld one thing from Joseph. And what was the one thing? His wife. And Joseph knew that. And Joseph was over all the household, but he would have nothing to do with Pharaoh's wife. Because that was not his responsibility as a slave, as a servant, and a steward, to be a good, faithful, and wise steward for his master. And so that's a real life account of this, but he tells this story. So there's a person who believes, someone who's of faith. This isn't describing pastors. Some people take this and they think, oh, the steward. Well, we're the sheep. And yeah, I know Jesus is the shepherd, but you're kind of a shepherd. And so, PJ, that's you. No, this is all of us. This is all of us. Every one of God's creations is called to be a steward of what he has given us. Some recognize that. They are on one side. Some do not. We'll get to that in a moment. So these are the people of faith, the people that have recognized that. It's all the believers, the true believers in Jesus Christ all over the world. That's what I believe he's talking about here. And so who is this for right now? This is for everybody. This is for everybody. So he's saying there's going to be some who are of faith, and they're going to be ready. Blessed is that servant. He's going to be set over all the possessions. Now we get into category number 2. Where it throws us is in the English where it says, but if that servant, okay? And so we start to think of that servant, the servant of faith. But now we're moving to a whole nother category of people. Okay? No, this is like, what? Try to bear with me. Category 1, it's the servant who has faith. And he was just setting up the example, and that was contestant number 1. Here's the scenario now with contestant number 2. But if there's a servant, that would really be a better way for us to understand this. Not that servant, the servant of faith. So when it says that, don't apply it to the person that you just heard about. We're talking about a whole new person and a whole new group of people. It's kind of like, we actually do this on occasion. Yeah, that kid, if that kid, and sometimes I may not be describing a certain kid, I'm just saying if that other kid would have done something, and it could be any kid. So he's describing a whole new group of people, and he says, if that servant says to himself, so this is someone who kind of acts like he's with them, but he's not really. He says, my master is much delayed in coming. It's been 2,000 years and he hasn't showed up yet. And he said he was going to come soon, so he must not be coming back. So it really doesn't matter what I do. I can just have free license to do whatever I want. And if I see a sign that shows that he's coming back, I'll get my act together then. If a servant says to himself, my master's delayed, and then begins to beat the male and the female servants to eat and drink and get drunk. Getting drunk is not a good way to get ready. We saw that yesterday with a horrible situation that took place. Okay, y'all are speaking very quietly all together. Oklahoma State, thank you, OSU. Horrible situation. Horrible situation. We're not ready when we're drunk. It's just that's not a state of readiness. It's, what's that? Yeah, at 10:30 in the morning, period. But it's, yeah, we're not ready when we're in a state of drunkenness. And so he decides to eat all the food and get drunk. And the master of that servant will come on a day when he does not expect him, and at an hour he does not know, and will cut him in pieces and put him with the unfaithful. Who do I believe Jesus is speaking to first and foremost here in this category of people? The Pharisees. I believe he's speaking to the Pharisees. Because they've been called to be stewards. They're even religious leaders. But they have abused the people, and they have not helped the fatherless and the widow. and they've built up riches for themselves, and they've actually set up walls to keep people away from the truth instead of proclaiming the truth. And so he proclaims a very strong judgment. Those people who have just not even said, oh, I'm not sure when he's going to come, and they kind of slip up. No, they intentionally, deliberately abuse who they are and their knowledge and go off on their own and sow their wild oats and do whatever they want. He says their punishment is going to be severe. They're going to be cut into little pieces and thrown with the unfaithful. We got two categories of people. We had the faithful people, and now we've got another group of unfaithful. And these thought they were maybe part of the faithful people, but they're not. But they're not, because they truly didn't believe, and they're cast with the unfaithful. By the way, sorry that y'all just became the unfaithful. Let's switch it up. The faithful people and then the unfaithful. Now we're even, right? Okay? So there's two categories of people. We got the faithful, let's go back to our original, and the unfaithful. And then he's describing, there's almost three scenarios of the unfaithful people. Scenario number one is the ones that are going to be cut up into little pieces and thrown with the unbelieving. Because they really knew better, and they intentionally, deliberately just said, I'm staying on the fence. I don't care. He's not anywhere near. He's not coming back. I'm going to do whatever I want. Category number two of the unfaithful people. The servant who knew his master's will, but didn't get ready or act according to his will, is going to receive a severe beating. Not going to be cut into little pieces, but a severe beating. For the one who, wow, I acknowledge there's a God, and I know what he said, but I never truly submitted myself to his authority. I did what I wanted to do. That person is going to receive a severe beating. And then, he says, and everyone, the third category, the one who did not know. So this is the one who doesn't know his master's business. He was like out in the field when the master said what to do, and he came in and goes, I missed all that. What am I supposed to do? He didn't know what he was supposed to do, but he does what's punishable, what's wrong. He will receive a light beating. Now, are we supposed to get all caught up in, are there phases of hell? Like some people are going to be chopped up in little pieces, and some people are going to have really severe, and some people are going to have like the, they're going to have frappes with breakfast because they're still in hell, but it's like a lighter hell, and you get to have a nice cold drink while you're in hell. Let's just not even go there, because that's not what this parable is about. And don't try to put words into Jesus' mouth. What is he saying? 2 words? What is he saying? Be ready, and you need to know which side of the fence you're on. You need to know which side of the fence you're on. For he says, everyone to whom much was given, of him much will be required, and from him of whom they entrusted much, they will demand the more. If I completely forsake the word of God, to whom much has been given, I've been given much with my family and my wife, and I've been given much responsibility as a pastor and as a church, and if I forsake the Lord my God, my punishment is going to be chopped up into little pieces severe and cast with the unbelievers. If we stay on the fence, all of us as believers, and go, we know better, but man, it's so long. He hasn't come back yet. And I'm just tired. I'm just going to come hang out over here for a while and have a little fun and do whatever I want. And then when I see that it's about to be time, I'll shape up. Our punishment I think in a sense will be, this is where it gets so confusing and so tricky. Is that really what he's saying? Is that us? I think to a degree, yes. Even we can fall away. That's what we believe. But for those who truly believe, we're going to be over here, and he's going to be serving us at his table. It's really challenging. It's really confusing. Even for me, with all of the studying that I did, and I've looked at every Greek word there was in there. And I think 10% of it can relate to all of us, because could we fall off? Yes, we believe that even as a believer we can fall away. We believe that. Some of you might go, I don't believe that. And that's a discussion we can have. It's something I look at and I struggle with sometimes. That's why I kind of developed my pseudo-belief, which is between the Lutheran belief and the Baptist belief, and it's the Geikie belief. And it's that we can come to a point where we will not fall away. Where our faith is so strong and so real that we will not fall away. But that there are some who truly do believe, and they truly would be saved if Jesus came back right now, but because he gets delayed, they could fall away. So I think 10% of it could relate to all of us. It could relate to anybody. But I think in a bigger sense, he's talking about there's two camps. Do you want to be in the camp of believers, the faithful, or do you want to be one of the three categories of the unfaithful? And so Jesus says, be ready. Be ready. Be ready. We weren't very ready, but we did okay. It isn't going to work that way when Jesus comes back. Let's get ready. What does it look like to get ready? It's everything in chapter 11 and 12. I'm not going to take time to go through all of it. I'm not going to lay out the plan for you. Does everyone have a plan if you have a fire in your house? Does everyone have a plan? Only Dylan. It's fire week. No. Does everyone have a plan? How many people seriously have not worked a plan, and we could probably put our hands up? I don't think we've worked out a plan. But what if the kids, we have a 2-story house, what if the kids are upstairs? What if the fire is on the stairs? There needs to be a plan. We need to have a plan. Well, how do we get ready for Jesus to come back? Well, now is your homework. Read all of chapter 12. Okay? And Jesus says, beware of the leaven of the Pharisees, which is hypocrisy. So be ready and be prepared by not being a hypocrite. Live as who you say you are, who you claim to be. And don't fear the one who can kill the body, can't do anything else after that. Fear the one who could destroy and cast into hell. That's God. So, stay away from hypocrisy and fear God. And then, acknowledge me before people and I'll acknowledge you. Acknowledge the Son of Man. That's a way to get ready. By acknowledging Jesus before others. And then, be rich toward God. Don't worry about possessions, because it isn't about possessions. Be rich toward God. Because life is not about your many possessions. And then, don't worry about how am I going to live. God's going to provide that. Seek the kingdom first. And then all the other stuff will be added. And then he says, be dressed and ready for action. Little flock, for you have great value to your God. Let's be ready, and let's prepare ourselves, and let's live as the faithful, ready for Jesus to return. And so kids, think about, what is my takeaway? What am I supposed to get from this passage? What does Jesus want me to know? But adults, let's do the same. What does Jesus want me to know, and what is he saying to me?